I'm making this video specifically for Watcher for the Blind. I believe that's your YouTube channel or your YouTube handle. You left a comment and you asked, how do I stop being self-righteous? And you said you don't know how to walk with Christ because you feel resentment towards others for making you feel shameful or bad about being yourself. In other words, you feel judged by people. As a person who's wrestled a lot with feelings of self-righteousness and having to wrestle with, am I being self-righteous right now or am I just being righteous? I will tell you, well, from my experience, the answer to everything is God. This is how you know, because there's a certain way that the ego handles things, and usually it's defensive and reactive. And there's a certain way that God handles things, which is presence, knowing. There's a calmness when you are walking with faith and an open heart and an open mind, being a vessel for the light of Christ. You step into that by going inside through meditation. If possible, it's best to be outside, immerse yourself in nature. Be still, be quiet. Go inward, into your own heart, into your own mind. The kingdom of heaven, the gates to the kingdom are inside of us. So if you knock through a practice of meditation, that's what knocking is. The gates will open. The door will open. This is how we talk to God. This is how we invite God into us. This is how we invite the light of Christ into us. Is making time for that every day. And what will happen is, as you get more disciplined in that activity, you will meditate longer, more often, because you will find solace and peace in that. And your waking state, your every minute will begin to be permeated with that feeling that you get when you are meditating. That's what happens over time if you have a dedicated, disciplined meditation practice. And what that is that you're filling up with the light of God so that it is illuminating you. It is changing the way you see things. Things become more clear. Because what happens in meditation is you begin to listen to your own thoughts, right? Mostly we walk around all day and we act very unconsciously, and we are guided by all of our thoughts that we don't even know we're having. There's all of this mental chatter, and most of us are checked out at any given moment. But when you meditate, you get still and you get quiet. What you're doing is you are listening. And what will you hear when you are listening? You will hear your own thoughts. And so through the practice of meditation, you identify those thoughts. You actually are making time and space to hear them, right? And then you say, okay, I'm going to quiet that now. And in this way, you begin to identify less with the thoughts. You can see that that is not you, because you are putting attention on it, on when it arises. You are the observer of that thought. But most people go through life thinking they are the thought. They identify with it. They let their thoughts control every part of them. unexamined thoughts. And you are not the thoughts. You are the consciousness in which those thoughts are arising, and you are the observer of that in meditation. So when you get better and better at this, identifying thoughts and recognizing you are not them and quieting them, you can do that throughout your day, right? And it makes you more present. And then also, because you've become so familiar with your own thoughts, your own voice in your head, it becomes quite evident, quite clear when it's God speaking to you. Okay, and in meditation, when you are able to quiet the mind, every time you have a thought, you identify that you're having a thought, right? A lot of times you'll recognize that, oh my gosh, I've been lost in thought for how many minutes now? I don't know. Okay, then try to trace it back. How far can you trace that chain of thinking back to? Like, what was it that started that chain of thoughts? Okay, this is like lifting weights for your mind, for your consciousness, for your awareness. It's a way to become more present. And so with a dedicated, disciplined meditation practice, you will have longer spans of just quietness. There will be less and less thoughts coming up. And then that bleeds over into your everyday life. And that's what peace is. Just having a quiet mind and an open heart. And when you meditate, the quieter your mind gets, where your heart opens. And then the love of God bubbles up like living water and speaks to you. And when you are imbued with that, you will naturally become less reactive. You will have fewer instances of self-righteousness. Or when you do have those experiences, you will be able to identify them and quell them, because you will know the difference between what it feels like to be in that state of peace, which is when you are with God and Christ is present. There's going to be an embodiment of just calmness and an ability to see what's going on without identifying with it or being reactive towards it or being triggered by it. Because you are not that, and you are not the ego that might be pricked by it. You are the thing that's observing everything. You are the observer. And God is the ultimate observer, okay? We are like different perspectives of the one true perspective, which is God. God is the totality. God is the sun, and we are different angles and rays of the sun. But when we meditate, we go inward and we get more of that source energy. And so the more you do that, it's like dipping a cloth into a dye. Like, say you are, your mind, your soul, your heart is a white cloth. And every time you go into meditation, you dip it into a bucket of, let's say, indigo. The more you do that, the darker that white sheet is going to become. It's going to become stained with the color of God, right? The light of God. That's not my analogy. That's he just passed away. David Lynch. He's the guy that was really into transcendental meditation. I practiced transcendental meditation for many years. Now I still meditate, but not necessarily in that way. But I attended a university called Maharishi University of Management of the Universal Laws of Intelligence. And it was a consciousness-based education program. So all the students were immersed deeply in a meditation practice. And that changed my life. So I think that's the answer to everything. The more you dip your cloth into that dye, into the light of God, the more you will be imbued with it. And God is not self-righteous. God is just righteous, right? And when you are with that truth, with that light, you don't care about what other people think of you. You care about people, but you don't care about what people think of you, because you know that who you are is who God made you to be, and you know for certain you are being that because you're talking to God on a daily basis, and God is letting you know who you are. So, if it's not God judging you, what do you care? Right? Like, we all have limited minds. And God knows all. And really, God doesn't judge us. God loves us. And we judge ourselves. We experience cause and effect through making free will choices that God has given us in love. He's given us free will. So, you'll come to recognize and experience that truth the more you go inward and listen and congregate and commune with God. Yeah. You'll be able to just, through a practice of mindfulness, when you have that feeling of self-righteousness, you'll be able to know, because the way you know it's self-righteousness is that there is it's pricking your ego. You get riled up, you want to be reactive. There's a charge to it. Whereas if it's of God, it's just a knowing. It's just, you know what's going on, right? And then you pray about what to do about it. And it's going to be something that is imbued with loving intelligence. It's going to be a response and not a reaction. So that's what I have to say about that.